IAS Academy, the Hindu newspaper analysis. So today we have taken some of the important articles from the newspaper, and the first one is talking about India's sexual minorities facing discrimination in employment, health issues and personal rights. This article is written by Faisal CK, who happens to be the Undersecretary of Law to the Government of Kerala. So the first part of the article talks about Dr. Frank Kamen. So he was a gay rights activist in the United States of America, and he also happens to be a World War II veteran and an American astronomer. He served in the Army's map service. But what happened was that soon enough he was fired from his job. Why was this? Because the United States government had banned the LGBTQ community from taking up federal jobs. This was the reason why he was fired from his job. But only after 50 years from being fired, he was apologized for by the government. He was apologized to by the government. Alright. So also this man was the one who formed one among the first LGBTQ pro group, that is LGBTQ activist group in the United States of America in 1970s. And he had sued the American Psychiatric Association for classifying homosexuality as a mental disorder. So the American Psychiatric Association had classified homosexuality as a mental disorder at that point of time, and he sued this association for doing this. So the article also mentions about the Pride Month. June is celebrated as the Pride Month, and why is it celebrated? It's dedicated to celebrating the LGBTQ community and the struggle against, to remember the struggle against, to acknowledge the struggle against the discrimination that they are facing in the society in general. So how did this Pride Month came to be celebrated in June? So it all goes back to Stonewall riots. So Stonewall Inn was a place where the LGBTQ community could freely come and have a good time. So this was the only place where they could really have a good time in the United States, because at that time in New York City the solicitation of LGBTQ relationship was actually a crime. So as a result, this place actually provided a kind of safe haven to the LGBTQ community at that point in time. But what happened was that in the 60s time, the gay and lesbian members of the American society were being constantly marginalized, and gay bars were routinely raided, and the owners and patrons were harassed. So what happened was that in 1969, a raid happened in Stonewall Inn, and as a result, because it turned aggressive and violence had occurred, so the pent-up frustration in the LGBTQ community people actually came out. They started organizing around this place, and it turned into a riot, and this spread over time. So every year this this became into a riot, and every year there used to be marches and such kind of celebrations, activism. It continued over time and it evolved. It moved to more cities and areas. And it was in 2016 that President Obama declared the Stonewall Inn a national monument. So what about in India? In India, we know that the greatest measure that has been taken in recent times for incorporating the LGBTQ community to the general public, or just against the discrimination against the LGBTQ community, the first step that we have taken in the right direction is the decriminalization of Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code. So the Section 377 is actually it's a very old law that was there during the British time back in the 19th century, and this actually prohibited same-sex relationships, carnal intercourse among men, women. It is said it's described as unnatural, and as a result, it was criminalized at that point of time, and this law continued even up to 2018. But in Navtej Singh Johar and Oz versus Union of India case, this section was struck down. But it still remains when it comes to the cases of minors and bestiality. In such cases, it still remains. But otherwise, same-sex relationship is not considered a crime anymore in our country. And the Supreme Court has already mentioned that in the same case, the Supreme Court has said that the general public and officials should be sensitized against this. That is, they should be sensitized about the LGBTQ rights, that they should be sensitized, they should be informed well that the section 377 has been decriminalized, and there should not be any kind of discrimination against these people. There should not be any kind of, any way they should be harmed. Because that's what usually the police forces and the other general public in general does. And also the school and university students, among general public and government officials, and also school and university students should be aware about the LGBTQ community, and it should be normalized. But although this has happened, it doesn't really completely transform into same-sex marriage. Just because Article 377 is decriminalized, it doesn't translate, it doesn't give rights to the public, to the LGBTQ community to have marriage among them. That is one fault that we have. And although we have taken this step in the right direction, there is still discrimination that is persisting in the society against the LGBTQ community. When it comes to employment, health, and personal relationship, they are still facing issues. So what is the government's stand when it comes to same-sex marriage? So same-sex relationship is decriminalized, but same-sex marriage has not been still given a legal backing. So what is the government's stand? The Union of India has recently opposed any move to accord legal sanction to same-sex marriage in India. So why is the government doing it? The government is actually giving the excuse that the restriction of marriage of same-sex persons also result in violation of existing personal as well as codified law provisions. So there are certain personal laws, there are certain marriage acts, marriage laws which are already existing in the country. So those laws are using terms like husband and wife. So they say that the government says that it is impossible in the context of the legislative scheme of various personal laws. So it is neither possible nor feasible to term one as husband and other as wife when it comes to same-sex marriage. So citing these kind of loopholes in the law, they are countering the argument that we should legalize same-sex marriage in the country. And also, although we know that I have already told that the Supreme Court has asked the government to sensitize the general public and the public officials and so on. But the government has actually not taken any step towards this direction. They are supposed to do it through mass media, they are supposed to do it through other ways, but they have not taken. They have actually disregarded the obligation to sensitize the general public. So there are actually great examples in the world who have taken the right decision when it comes to same-sex marriage. Like as of 2021, same-sex marriage is legally performed and recognized in 29 countries. So South Africa was the first country to do that. That was back in the 90s, and UK actually did it in 2017. So there is a case called Alan Turing. So Alan Turing law was passed. So what is this Alan Turing law? So he was a computing expert during the World War II time who worked with the British Army, British military. But what happened was that later he was convicted for indecency, as he was a member of the LGBTQ community. He was actually convicted for that. And through Alan Turing, by passing Alan Turing law, the UK government has actually given a posthumous pardoning to this individual. But it is a way of pardoning those people who are living right now, who had this record, who has this conviction in the record. So this kind of conviction has been removed. from their record. So this has been done by UK. These are two examples. So what we can do in our country, in India, what we can do in order to reduce the discrimination, the kind of discrimination that exists in our country against LGBTQ community. The first step that we should do, as suggested in the article, is that we should, the grounds of non-discrimination should be expanded by including gender and sexual orientation. So in Article 15 is a fundamental rights that's provided to the citizens of our country. So it says Article 15 is to prevent discrimination, it's against discrimination, that the state shall not discriminate against its citizen on the basis of race, religion, caste, sex, or place of birth. So these 5 options are given. So on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, the state shall not discriminate against its citizens, the people, right? But in this, we should also include gender and sexual orientation, so that we make it more inclusive, so that we also, take care of the LGBTQ communities and make it a fundamental right and add value to the action against the discrimination. And also we should have a multi-pronged approach to deal with issue of prejudice and discrimination prevalent in society against them. What we can do, we should have awareness, right? We should have an anti-discrimination law, so that they can actually have a great standard of life in our society. So government bodies need to be sensitized when it comes to health agencies, health officials, police, whichever government officials dealing with law and order. So they should be sensitized so that they are not denied any kind of public service. By following these points, we can actually create a much more inclusive society, and we can accommodate, we should generalize, we should make it common, the existence of LGBTQ community, the kind of discrimination that they are facing can be removed, and we can make that right step into the right direction. So that's all. So the second article, we have talked about the power of an apology. So this is in the context that recently Germany has officially apologized to Namibia. So Germany had colonized Namibia in the past, and there has been a genocide involving thousands of killing in Namibia, because some of the members of certain tribal groups, certain ethnic group in Namibia has taken part in an uprising against Germany during that time, and as a result Germany has punished them by initiating a genocide, by mass murdering, by killing a lot of people. And right in the present world, Germany has officially apologized. They have acknowledged this genocide and said that they are sorry that this happened back in the days. Their ancestors has done that. They are shameful, and that they have acknowledged and they have apologized. And also, French President Emmanuel Macron has also done it when it comes to Rwandan genocide. So Rwandan, related to Rwandan civil war, France was involved in it, and it has in a way influenced the genocide that it has happened there, right? And they have asked for forgiveness. Now, similar incident has happened in the past too. So Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau apologized before the descendants of passengers of Komagata Maru's ship. So Komagata Maru's ship was a Japanese ship, alright. So it actually had a lot of Indians, especially people from the Sikh community. So this ship, these people were attempting to flee India and trying to migrate to Canada, alright. So let's imagine this is Canada and this is India. So what happened was, from Canada, they were not allowed to dock in Canada. They were not allowed to enter Canada. The ship was actually sent back. So they went back. And from India, the British police tried to arrest these people, and there emerged a riot. And as a result, there was a fight, and about 20 people were killed. So Regarding this incident, the Canadian Prime Minister has apologized and said that they had made a wrong decision at that time. I mean, their ancestors had made a wrong decision, wrong choice at that time. So, for his country's, and also he has apologized for his country's role in turning away ship carrying over 900 Jewish refugees fleeing Nazi persecution. So, what does this kind of apology mean? What value does it have? So, there are some advantages that is mentioned in this article. So, this kind of apology is actually will pave way to strengthening relations. So, it requires a lot of courage, goodwill, compassion, and humility, and it will actually, project as later on give way for strengthening relationship between these two countries, and it will help people reconcile with the past. They will acknowledge the past, what has happened. They will shed their unwanted national pride and look forward for better relationship. And the countries and communities can take lesson from history and avoid similar tragedies. So by acknowledging this, by mentioning this in their books and in their newspapers and journals, they can actually learn from this. People can learn from this and can prevent such a situation in the future from happening. And solace to the victims' descendants a sense of justice and gratitude. So those people who are descendants of the victims, they're gonna feel a kind of a sense of justice and gratitude is what's mentioned in this article, and add a moral dimension to the international relations. This article again goes on to say that countries that strive for global leadership should be able to provide moral leadership as well. So it's just when it comes to international relations, it should not be just being a superior military power or being a strategical power or an economic power. It should also include critical self-reflection, humility, compassion, and care not only towards their own people. That the country should not only be considered about their own nationals, their own citizens, but should also have care towards the most vulnerable communities around the world. This is what this article talks about. So next article says Delta variant cases rise in Bhutan. So Bhutan's health minister said that number of COVID-19 cases of the Delta variants from towns bordering India has been rising. And actually Bhutan does not have a really strong healthcare system in order to counter COVID when it comes to the Delta variant, which we are not well aware of. I mean, there are still studies going on regarding the Delta variant, Delta plus variant. So the Bhutan ministry is also having problems with vaccinating its population, because usually the export comes from India. The export goes to India, vaccines goes to India. Now we are also facing a vaccine shortage, so there is a problem when it comes to Bhutan's vaccination too. So we will look at what Delta plus variant is, and we'll see what variant means in general. So Delta plus, technical term is B1617.2.1 AY.1. So it is a mutation in the Delta strain of the virus, the previous B1 variant virus. So when it has a Delta, a mutation happened in the Delta strain of that previous variant. So this has emerged. So what is variant generally? So variant means when one or more mutation that differentiate it from the original virus. So in one virus, in the same virus, certain evolution, that is certain evolve. So when it evolves by having certain mutation in its genes, so one or more mutation when it happens, it differs from the virus. So it shows some different characteristics. So that is called, when such a virus emerges, that is called variant. So what happens? Because COVID-19 is very widespread in the world. So it is spreading very much, it's everywhere. So the potential of it being evolving, its evolution, it being evolving, and its mutations coming into existence increases. So it is replicating fast, and it is giving a boost to variants. So as a result, multiple variants are emerging in different parts. So this Delta variant was first detected in Europe in March 2021, and it was also found in India. But the good thing is that it is only found in smaller areas in the country, and it is also found to be resistant to monoclonal antibodies cocktail. So this was one treatment method that was suggested in order to reduce the COVID-19 situation, but even this variant has been resistant to this kind of treatment, and its severity is still unknown. Studies are still going on. And about its transmissibility, a spike protein mutation called K4179, which is also found in the beta variant first identified in South Africa, is present, and there are concerns that mutation combined with other existing features of the Delta variant could make it more transmissible. So this is just a concern, so it is not exactly proved. And then there are some other concerns, like the ministry has warned that regions where it has been found, so we have a protocol in place that the ministry has said that wherever this has been found, there should be proper, they should enhance the public health response by focusing on surveillance, enhanced testing, and there should be also priority when it comes to vaccination in these areas, so that this variant does not spread too much and cause and wreak much havoc. Okay, and there should be quick contact tracing and priority vaccination. So there are worries Delta Plus would inflict another wave of infections on India after it emerged from the world's worst surge in cases only recently. So it is just very recently that we have come over the second wave, right? So once Delta virus gains the movement and it starts spreading fast, so we might go through another wave which might be as dangerous as the previous wave that we faced. So that is another concern. So right now only over 4% of Indians are fully vaccinated, and about 80% have received one dose so far. So our vaccination rate is low according to the article. So as a result, we have to be we have to be very much cautious when we are dealing with when we are trying to control this Delta variant. That's what the article says. So the final article that we have taken up is related to internal security. So what has happened? A drone attack, a suspected drone attack has happened on IAF Jammu Station, Indian Air Force Jammu Station, and it has left 2 officials injured. So it is the first time this is happening in India. That is the first time a drone bomb attack is happening in India. And the article says that high quality explosives have used for this. And this IAF station is very close to the border. It's only 14 kilometers away from border. So it is suspected that Pakistan-based outfits might have attempted this. And it is not the first time that drones are used in order to aid terrorist activities. Even previously, like even in the past couple of years, we have been seeing drones deployed regularly by Pakistan-based outfits to smuggle arms, ammunition and drugs into Indian territory. So we have to, although this thing happened, it is mentioned in the articles that an FIR has been filed on the basis of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act and Section 3 of the Explosive Substance Act and Section 307 120B. So this is not that important, IPC, but this act is very important. There has been questions regarding this act in the exam before. So and this act has been in a lot of controversies due to its vague provision. So I just suggest that you search for UAPA and know about its provisions and its faults. Okay, but in this context, it will be giving an edge for armed forces or in order to convict the offenders. So why is drones used? Why are drones used? In attack? Why there is a sudden increase in the use of drones by terrorist forces? One thing is that our radar system will detect only movement after a certain height. So the low flying drones cannot be detected by radar. So a quick action cannot be taken at this time. So drone attacks are very it's stealth based. It can be seen only when it is close. It cannot be detected by radar. Whenever there is an attack, aerial attack coming, whenever there is a air jet, fighter jet entering our border, we will be notified in the radar, right? But that does not happen with drones. So drones fly low and therefore cannot be detected by any radar system. And there has been 167 drone sightings in 2019. That means drone sightings means not the drones some civilians are flying, but suspected drone flyings from the border areas in 2019 and 77 in 2020 were recorded along the border with Pakistan. This is along the border with Pakistan. So some of them were caught, some of them were Pakistan-based outfit related, and some of them were also pro-Khalistan terror module related. And also the weaponized drone being first used, we detected, like, the world saw weaponized drones being used first in in the Islamic State, used by the Islamic State in northern Iraq in 2016, and then in Syria. So this was the first time that the world witnessed this, and now it has been increasing. So that's all about it. So for more such videos, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also join our Telegram channel, and you can follow us on social media at Facebook and Instagram. Do visit our website where you can see the course structure that we provide, and also gain access to NCERT books, daily current affairs, blogs, and much more. Thanks for watching the video.